165, page 166, page 167, page 168, page 169, page 170, page 171, page 172, page 173, page 174, page 175, page 176, page 177, page 178, page 179, page 180, page 181, page 182, page 183, page 184, page 185, page 186, page 187, page 188, page 189, page 190, page 191, page 192, page 193, page 194, page 195, page 196, page 197, page 198, page 191, 199, page 200, page 201, page 202, page 203, page 204, page 205, page 206, page 207, page 208, page 209, page 210, page 211, page 212, page 213, page 214, page 215, page 216, page 217, page 218, page 219, page 220, page 221, page 222, page 223, page 224, page 225, page 226, page 227, page 228, page 229, page 230. Distinguished Senator Ladi Nora Dadut.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion to accept the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 29 June 2021. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Uche Lillian Ekunife.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Uche Lillian Ekunife. I represent Anambra Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved. I so second. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 29 June 2021 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. I say. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 29 June 2021 is hereby approved. Letter from the Deputy President of the Senate. Dear Mr. President, announcement working retreat. The programmed retreat of the Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution will hold as follows. Date, Thursday 1st, Sunday to Sunday 4th, July 2021. Thursday 1st to Sunday 4th, July 2021. Venue, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Agenda, clause by clause consideration of processed bills. Members should please endeavor to attend. Sign, Senator Ove Omo Agege, Deputy President of the Senate Chairman. Letter from Senator Mrs. Uche Ekunife Iyom, Adogu Igbo, Ayauri Kingdom, Chairman Senate Committee on Science and Technology. President of the Senate, sir, letter of appreciation. With the deepest sense of gratitude and utmost humility, I wish to appreciate the Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawan, PhD, CON, Deputy Senate President, Principal Officers of the 9th Senate, and my fellow distinguished senators for their show of love, individual and collective support I got in the just concluded governorship primary election at the People's Democratic Party ahead of the November 6 in Anambra State. I'm indeed overwhelmed by the outpour of solidarity and encouragement by the leadership of the Senate and every member of this hallowed chamber. Together with members of my campaign team, we worked extremely hard to clinch the ticket of our great... Okay. Sorry? Well, I'm compelled to read it the way it is. Together with members of my campaign team, we worked extremely hard to clinch the ticket of our great party during the keenly contested party primary last weekend. Even though we did not achieve our set goal, the financial and moral support we received from my colleagues in this chamber enabled us to make a bold statement in the governorship contest. The impact we made in the election shows that we are indeed very close to creating a society where women can seek to occupy any office in Nigeria without facing any form of gender discrimination. It is only a matter of time, indeed. I make bold to say that I may not have won the nomination because of gender discrimination, conspiracy, and financial huge inducements, but it is a matter of time we shall get there by God's grace. My commitment to the vision of the 9th Senate and indeed the overall democratic development of our dear nation remains total, irrespective of party affiliation. Thank you once again for your kindness, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. May God bless you all. Signed, Senator Uche Ekunefe Iyom, Adogwigbo, Anyawu Nyiri Kingdom. Thank you. Letter from distinguished Senator Sahabi Alhaji Ya'u, dan madamin ƙaura na Moda, Zamfara North Senatorial District, Deputy Minority Whip. Your Excellency, notification of change of political party from the PDP to the APC. I hereby inform Your Excellency and my distinguished colleagues of my decision to move from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Party, the APC. The decision is necessitated by the endemic crisis that engulfed the Zamfara State chapter of the PDP, which led the national body to dissolve the state ESCO of the party. This has negatively impacted effective representation of my constituents. Being a representative of my people and having consulted widely with them, I decided to defect from the crisis ridden. Being a representative of my people and having consulted widely with them, I decided to defect from the crisis-ridden party to I have to repeat it because not many of you have heard it. Being a representative of my people and having consulted widely with them, I decided to defect from the crisis-ridden party to a more formidable and peaceful party, the APC. While thanking you for your understanding, please accept, as always, the assurances of my esteemed regards. Signed, Senator Sahabi Alhaji Ya'u, Senate Deputy Minority Whip. Later from distinguished Senator Lawali Hassan Anka Dan Iya, Cigarin Sarkin Zamfaran Anka, Deputy Chairman Committee on Senate Services, Senator representing Zamfara West Senatorial District. Your Excellency, notification of change of political party from PDP to APC. I wish to inform you of my decision to move from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC. The decision is necessitated by the crisis in the state chapter of the party of the PDP that has negatively affected representation of my constituents in the Senate. While thanking you for your understanding, accept my profound appreciation and best wishes always, please. Thank you. Signed, Senator Dr. Lawali Hassan Anka. Letter from distinguished Senator Peter Nwabushi, Delta North Senatorial District, Chairman Senate Committee on Niger Delta. His Excellency, distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawan. Notice of switch of political party membership from the distinguished Senator Utazi. I know this is not easy, but you know, we have to learn to live with it. Thank you, because many more will be coming here. So notice of switch of political party membership from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. I write to respectfully notify Your Excellency and indeed the Senate that I formally joined the All Progressives Congress, APC. This decision and action is due to divisions at all levels of the People's Democratic Party that sponsored my election into the Senate. The PDP in its entirety is imploding under huge yokes of factionalization, arbitrariness, intolerance, tyranny, and gross failure of leadership in ways that have made it impossible for my membership to continue in the party. This communication is made pursuant to Section 68, subsection 1G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, for your information, guidance, and record purposes. While assuring Mr. President of my highest esteem, be further assured of my commitment to the 9th Senate legislative agenda under your calm, steady leadership and absolute support for the APC-led federal government of His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Yours sincerely, distinguished Senator Peter Nwabushi. Senator Samewu. Senator Samewu. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, thank you very much. Please, Chief Whip, find an appropriate seat for Senator Peter Mwabushi and our other colleagues who have joined the APC on this side of the aisle. Please. Distinguished colleagues, please, we are live. We are live. Let me congratulate. Let me congratulate our three colleagues, actually four, including the distinguished Senator Hassan Mohamed Anka, the German Gusau, whose letter I read yesterday, for their decision to move from the PDP to the APC. And I would like to also urge our colleagues that we must respect the decisions of our colleagues when they make them. I only pray and hope that there will be enough to be left on this side to chair those who. So we should please respect the decisions of our colleagues. And by the way, we remain committed to a unified, united Senate chamber. Any petitions? Distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinyelure.
Thank you, sir. All over one. Thank you, Mr. President, as usual. Mr. President, more distinguished colleagues, presentation of petition not laid but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petition yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate in order to officially place the petitions in the public domain. to the floor of the Senate.
Chief Whip. Okay, continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41(1) and 3, wishes to present to the Senate some petitions yet to be laid from the office of the President of the Senate. In order to officially place the petition in the public domain, to the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, find below summary of petition received from the office of the President of the Senate for its of reference. 1. Yayola B.T. Esquire against Madonna University, Elele, complaint against high-handedness and the act of ineptitude against Madonna University, Elele. 2. Manasseh Echile Esquire, Naval Officer Albert Abraham and his team, petition against Naval Officer Albert Abraham and his team for abduction, aiding forcible entry, harassment, intimidation, and illegal dredging of sand and Fowo village near Magma Etido, Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State. Number 3, Mr. President, Dalami Sule and Emeka Okafo against NISA Microfinance Bank, fraudulent acquisition of a COVID-19 relief facility. Number 4, Comrade Daka Post, Daniel Damijo and 2 others against the Managing Director of NDDC and Senator Goswill Akpabio. A petition against Barrister Effie of Aqua, the Acting Managing Director of NDDC, and Senator Goswill Akpabio, the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs for misappropriation of NDDC funds. Number 5, Francis Olayemi Adebayo against Nigeria Customs Service. Letter of petition against Nigeria Customs Service for confiscation of my car and cautioning the said car to one Bidemi Oladipupo, haven't duly paid the custom duty. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the petitions above is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action.
Is any of the petitioners seeking any judicial remedy?
None of them is seeking judicial remedy, Mr. President.
You may lay the petitions. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Before we go to the business of the day, let me make some remarks on the PIB. Distinguished colleagues, the reports, copies of the reports are being distributed to all of us now, and we'll try to make today's plenary session a bit short so that we have some more time to go and read the report. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, we will consider the report, and tomorrow's plenary session will be entirely devoted to the consideration of the report on the Petroleum Industry Bill. And before the plenary tomorrow, the leadership of the Senate has decided to invite the GMD of the NNPC to come and brief us in a closed session, and the opportunity there will be for those of us who are not members of the Joint Committee, who had interactions with NNPC, DPR, PTDF, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, etc., will at least hear some of the technical details, the financial details and implications of certain provisions in the bill. That will be maybe for an hour, just for us to listen and where necessary to ask for clarifications so that we are properly briefed and better informed before we come into plenary to consider the report. And I will take this opportunity to commend our joint committee members. The committee members have done extremely good job. They have devoted themselves, they have sacrificed almost all the recess periods that we had just for them to work on the PIB. But I must also commend the executive arm of government. And truly, from my experience, the commitment, dedication, and sincerity of the executive arm of government to the passage of the PIB is unparalleled. We can't compare it with the commitments they have shown before from 2008 or 2009 up to 2015. They have always been there to explain whether it was a request from the Joint Committee or on their own, feeling members of the National Assembly need to understand certain things better. And this joint effort between the National Assembly and the executive is yielding the desired results, and by the grace of God, the National Assembly in both chambers will consider the report tomorrow. The House will be considering the report tomorrow as well, just as we will do here. Finally, the leader of the Senate had circulated a circular to all the chairmen of our committees, advising that committee meetings of whatever name, whether public hearing or just regular meeting, should only be slated from 2 p.m. when the plenary would have been completed here on legislative weeks, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And of course, non-legislative days, like Mondays or Fridays, committees are free to fix any time. And the reason is simple. We deplete our plenary when we fix our meetings for 11 in the morning. And we believe that there is need for everyone to be here, at least to attend the plenary and contribute to activities of the Senate in plenary. So please, let's adhere to this so that we have full complement of senators in the chamber when we hold plenaries. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate. Point of order, Senator Baro Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, ma. Mr. President, I'm Barao Jibrin. I don't record or not. I'm coming under Order 43, personal explanation. With the permission, Arisa.
You may read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, or no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, you may recall that I was directed to submit the report of the 2021 Supplementary Appropriation Bill to this Senate today. I wish to tell this distinguished Senate that my committee went with that directive and we have concluded our work on the bill. However, Mr. President, we are yet to harmonize our position with that of the House of Representatives. The meeting to harmonize our position with that of the House of Representatives is tomorrow. We hope that we are going to finish with them, harmonize, and have the same position so as to have a seamless supplementary appropriation process within the National Assembly. Therefore, Mr. President, I have requested that the Senate should show understanding to this development because of this development and allow us to lay the report on Tuesday. I so submit, sir.
Well, because we have come under Standing Order 43, which does not allow for debate on the issue raised, I will, on behalf of the Senate, advise that your committee should remain very concerned with strict consideration of whatever the executive side of government has brought as a request in the supplementary. So do proper scrutiny. You have requested this yesterday, but I thought you could finish. But now that you need to do more, I will also say that you insist that after the time that you need, I don't know whether you want to lay on Tuesday, because if you have to lay on Tuesday, then it means you have tomorrow up to Monday. You have to do proper scrutiny, work with the House so that you have a joint report, so that we don't have to go into harmonizations. Then leave no stone unturned in considering the issues item by item, and then we unfailingly receive the report and consider it on Tuesday. So you have up to Tuesday, but it will be received and considered. Thank you. Point of order, Senator Abiodun Olujumi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I come under Order 43, and by your permission, I will read.
Please go ahead.
Abiodun Olujimi, Ekiti South. I come under Order 43. And
you may read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make is sought. Mr. President, I come before the Senate today to bring before you an Amazon in this 9th Senate, Senator Uche Lilian Ekwunife, a woman who went into the Gulag and came back roaring. A woman who went to be part of the last primaries for the Anambra gubernatorial elections as an aspirant, and who, despite all odds, came third in the contest. What she has done, Mr. President, is a commendation that is due to this chamber because of the opportunity and the support given her by every member of this chamber. Mr. President, Senator Uche Lilian Ekwunife has not shattered the ceiling. She has broken it for all of us. And it is only a matter of time before our agenda will be able to present a government in Nigeria. I rise on behalf of all the women in this chamber, and of course, the progressive men in the PDP, to congratulate Senator Lilian Ekwunife and say we are proud of you. Mr. President, our contest also brings to the fore the need to look properly into the review of our Constitution and the Electoral Act, so that...
Now, distinguished Senator Biodun Olujimi, you have gone beyond the briefing you gave me. So, and I think you have done a very good and fantastic job of eulogizing one of our colleagues. Please conclude on that.
All of us, I want to congratulate Senator Uche Lilian Ekwunife. We are proud of you. You are a hero. And we will build on the blocks you have set. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Because you have come under our standing order 43, this is not something that will be debated. Otherwise, I'm sure many of our colleagues, even the non-female senators, would have made some remarks. But let me, on behalf of all our colleagues here, both men and women, commend you for raising that point of order to speak about one of our very distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Uche Lilian Ekwunife Iyom, for her exploits in the just concluded governorship primaries of the PDP in Anambra State for the November elections. No doubt that our colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I want to commend you for commending the Progressive Congress. Oh, yeah. You said the women and progressives. So now there is a serious realization that there is room in the progressives. The distinguished Senator Uche Ekwunife, you have done us proud. Even though many of us here, or most of us here, do not belong to the PDP platform. But the truth is, this is a family. You went there with our prayers and our support. The fact that you did so well, even though you couldn't break the glass ceiling, but you have achieved something. Your doggedness will encourage more women to dare to aspire. And one day, it's just a matter of time, like Senator Olujimi said, it's a matter of time. In fact, I want to be ambitious that why can't we even try the presidency one day? But maybe we start with the governorship, but nothing should be off the table for trying to make the political environment more accommodating. So congratulations for for what you have been able to achieve, and we are here for you anytime. We like to support all our colleagues, regardless of their political platforms, when it comes to issues like this. Congratulations once again. Any point of order? Leader of the Senate. Leader.
This presentation, please allow me.
No, yes.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele on the National Commission for Peace, Reconciliation and Mediation, Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Commission for Peace, Reconciliation and Mediation Establishment Bill 2021, SB 759, first reading.
National Commission for Peace, Reconciliation and Mediation Establishment Bill 2021, SB 759, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Jibril Issa on the Federal Eye Center Ochandamu Kogi State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Eye Center Ochandamu Kogi State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 760, first reading.
Federal Eye Center Ochandamu Kogi State Establishment Bill 2021, SB 760, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ibikunle Amosu on the Abduction, Wrongful Restraints and Confinement Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Abduction, Wrongful Restraint and Confinement Bill 2021, SB 762, first reading.
Abduction, Wrongful Restraints and Confinement Bill 2021, SB 761, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Frank Chukuma Ibezim on the African Union Convention on the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons in Africa, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, African Union Convention on the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons in Africa, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2021, SB 763, first reading.
African Union Convention on the Protection and Assistance of Internally Displaced Persons in Africa, Domestication and Enforcement Bill 2021, SB 763, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Obasani on the Recovery of Public Property Special Provisions Act, CAP, R4, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Recovery of Public Property Special Provision Act, CAP R4, LFN 2004, Repeal Bill 2021, SB 764, first reading.
Recovery of Public Property Special Provisions Act, CAP R4, LFN 2004, Repeal Bill 2021, SB 764, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the FCT Customary Court Act 2007 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, Chairman of the committee, to move a motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Leader, I thought this would be received and considered. No, only receive. Okay. Okay. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Federal Capital Territory FCT Customary Court Act 2007 Amendment Bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, you may lead the report, please. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Police Affairs of the 2021 budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Dauda Haliru Njika to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Dauda Haliru Njika, Doka Jambauchi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, Haliru Dauda Njika, representing Bauchi Central, Bauchi State, Northeast Nigeria. Mr. President, I rise humbly to move that the Senate do receive and consider the report on the Committee on Police Affairs on the 2021 budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I so move.
Yeah, distinguished Senator Eladi Sankara, the latter ringing.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Eladi Abdullahi Sankara, representing Jigawa Northwest. I stand to second that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Police Affairs on the 2021 budget of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Police Affairs on the 2021 budget of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You may lead the report, Chairman. You may present the report.
Thank you, sir. I will go straight to the findings, consideration, and observation by the committee, Mr. President. The Joint Committee invited the Executive Secretary and the management team of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund to a budget hearing where in 2021 budget details were discussed consequently. The committee identified some of the project locations and other relevant items under the capital component of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund budget. Observation by the committee: while considering the budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund, the Joint Committee observed as follows. 1, that this is the second budget of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund since the establishment of the Act come into being in 2019. Secondly, the total revenue rollover from 2020 was 23 billion 600 million. And third, that the 2021 accrued revenue is as follows: 0.5% of the total revenue accrued to the Federation account, which represents 41 billion. 0.05 total VAT, which is 8.8 billion. 0.05 of the net profit companies in Nigeria doing business in Nigeria, which represents 300 million. 8 grant donations, ECT, generated to the sum of 150 million. That the government subvention for the personnel, overhead, and capital was nil. Recommendations by the committee: Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, at the end of its deliberation, the Joint Committee considered the observation and recommend as follows. Personnel costs, 900 million. Overhead expenditure, 10 billion. Total recurrent, 11 billion. Capital expenditure, 63.7 billion. Total budget recommended by the committee is 74.7 billion naira. That the Nigerian Police Trust Fund should expedite action on the implementation of the 2021 budget for the enhancement of the policing and tackling the security challenges for the benefit of the nation and its citizens. In conclusion, distinguished colleagues, the Joint Committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the leadership of the Senate and the House of Representatives for the trust reposed on us to consider the Police Trust Fund budget. It is the expectation of the Joint Committee that this recommendation will help in reaching an acceptable decision on the matter, which will significantly improve funding of the Nigerian Police Force. Mr. President, distinguished senators, thank you.
Any comments? Okay, we go to the recommendations. The recommendations on page 2. At the end of his deliberations, the Joint Committee considered the observations are recommended as follows. Roman figure 1, personnel cost, 988,279,006 naira 5 kobo. 2, overhead expenditure, 10 billion 27,610,310 naira 25 kobo. Total recurrent, 11 billion 15,889,316 naira 30 kobo. Capital expenditure, 63 billion 757,712,600 naira. Total budget recommended by the committee is 74 billion 773,601,916 naira 30 kobo only. That NPTF should expedite action on the implementation of the 2021 budget for the enhancement of policing and tackling the security challenges for the benefit of the nation and its citizenry. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. Yes?
Mr. President, thank you very much. Mr. President, I have a comment on page 8.
No, we have passed that. I asked for comments. We have passed that. No, I didn't see you. We are past that. No, we are past that. We are past that. Sorry. No, but I didn't see you. No. Hey, I'm not denying that you raised your hand, but I didn't see it. No, it's late. We are on recommendations now. We are voting on the recommendations. Okay, you can explain if it is part of the recommendations, but not general comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, please permit me to ask the Chairman Police Committee how he arrived at the police stations and police officers to be rehabilitated. Because I've looked at the choosing police stations and barracks to be rehabilitated. I want to know how he arrived at them, because I've come from Anambra, for instance. I know the police stations in Anambra. About 8 of them were burnt down. About 8 were burnt down. The barracks in Anambra State, all the barracks in Anambra State are nothing to write home about. I can't see any police station or any barracks in the rehabilitation column. So I would like to know how he was able to arrive at the police stations that he chose in this committee, to know why we don't even have one, not even a police station, not even a barracks in Anambra.
No, I think you should you ask him to explain. So allow him to explain. Don't go into judgment. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Police Trust Fund Act provide that before it prepares its budget, it should ask the police to submit their requirement. This is an intervention fund. It's not a statutory budget. So it is based on the recommendation of the police that the Police Trust Fund submit its budget to the National Assembly for consideration and approval.
If it is intervention fund, the intervention fund is meant for the entire Nigeria. It's not just for one particular place. So it's not meant for just the states you stipulated in your own report. How come Anambra State is not part of the states to benefit from that intervention fund, considering the decay we have in the police stations and police barracks in Anambra State? So I think it is not fair. He has to consider at least one police station and one barracks in Anambra State.
Distinguished. Let me say this. When our committees work on things like this, we will trust their judgment, but of course we can question their actions. When we have an intervention, I have no idea whether this is going to be a phased intervention or whatever it is, but I will always advise that we have the kind of spread that is necessary. Even the police will be advised. But if that is not exactly what is expected, what is here, I will advise that we allow this one to go, because we can't start changing the arrangements the police themselves have done. But we call the attention of the police that next time they should look into those areas that they have not considered in this particular request. Deputy Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, I want to refer us to page 12. Page 12, we have rehabilitation of 4-man RF quarters, 2-bedroom bungalow, Onitsha, Anambra State. So what they have done is that perhaps we look at one page where, because they serialized them in accordance to needs. So I think that goes to show what the chairman said, that based on the needs assessment from the police formation, they submitted to the intervention fund. And that's all we have. So page 12, if you check, you will see it. All right.
Did you see them? Are you okay? Okay. Thank you very much. Those in favor of the recommendations as read out, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the committee on appropriations on the supplementary appropriation bill, which the chairman took order 43 to explain the inability of the appropriation committee to lay the report for consideration. With this in mind, Mr. Chairman, and with your permission, I move the motion that the consideration of this particular item on our order paper be stepped down until the time when the report is formally laid before the Senate. So I move the motion that this particular order be stepped down for another legislative bill. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, I so submit.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of this report based on the request of the chairman of our Committee on Appropriations that they need more time and the Senate approve. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on Firearms Act F28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 16 February 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Michael Opeyemi Bamidele. I represent Ekiti Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Firearms Act, Cap F28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Amendment Bill 2021, SB 549. Mr. President, I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, I need a seconder. Senator Basiru Surajuddin Ajibola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru, Senator representing Osun Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion moved by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, that this Senate will receive the report of the committee on and consider same on Firearms Act Amendment Bill 2021, SB 549. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Firearms Act, Cap F28, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Chairman, you may lead the report, please. Chairman, you may present the report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, report of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on a bill for an act to amend the Firearms Act, Cap F28, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to, among other provisions, increase the imposition of fines for offenses, provide for the firearms illegally imported into the country or in possession of individuals without valid license in a bid to build public confidence in the overall efforts targeted at preventing and curtailing the circulation of illegal firearms in the country and for other related matters, SB 549.
Distinguished colleagues, please, let's take our seats. Let's take our seats, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Firearms Act, Cap F28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 549, was sponsored by distinguished Senator Uba Sani, representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District. The bill was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday, 25th November 2020. At the plenary sitting of the Senate on Tuesday, 16 February 2021, the Senate deliberated extensively on the general principles of this bill. Thereafter, the bill was read the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action. Via Senate Order of Referral dated 17 February 2021 to report back with its recommendations. Mr. President, I'll quickly speak to the objectives of this bill before I jump to the legislative summary. The bill, in a nutshell, seeks to amend the Firearms Act, Cap F28 2004, to, among other things, achieve the following objectives. 1, to increase the imposition of fine for offenses committed under the Act from the current regime, which is not stringent enough. 2, to establish a comprehensive and coordinated disarmament process and destruction of all illegal firearms by the Office of the National Security Advisor in order to prevent the firearms from re-entering our communities. And 3, to take proactive measures and sustain legislative strategy to address the underlying factors facilitating the circulation of illegal firearms and block every loophole to curtail proliferation of illicit firearms in the country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, because of time, I'm jumping to page 6 to talk about the legislative summary. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this legislative summary highlights our further inputs and changes made on the provisions of the bill by the committee. We commend the approval of the proposed changes to this distinguished Senate. Clause 2 amends Section 27 of the Principal Act. In the proposed bill, subclause 1C(b) of the Principal Act was amended by reviewing upward the fine from 1,000 naira to the sum of 1 million naira, or both fine and imprisonment. This is necessary because the fine contained in the extant act is not punitive enough to deter illegal importation and sale of firearms in Nigeria. Hence, the need for the upward review in line with current realities. New clause 5 of the bill. The committee has introduced a new clause 5, which seeks to amend Section 38 of the Principal Act. This is a consequential amendment in line with the provisions of the newly introduced Clause 39 of the bill. This is necessary because it is not only officers of the armed forces of the Federation and the Nigerian Police Force who are authorized to carry firearms and ammunition. Accordingly, we have amended this provision to include other law enforcement agencies as well. This amendment is as set out in the accompanying table. Finally, Clause 5, renumbered as Clause 6. The clause amends new Clause 39 of the bill. It deals with power to seize and destroy confiscated and illegal firearms. Secondly, subclauses 4 and 5 of the clause have been further amended by the committee to ensure that firearms that are not of military serviceable grades but are serviceable can be deployed for use by civilian, joint force, and other related registered vigilantes under the approval and supervision of the Office of the National Security Advisor. This is important because these joint efforts are also funded by the government. Finally, the committee introduced a new subclause 8 to this clause in order to clearly define the nature and types of firearms to be destroyed for ease of understanding and clarity. Our observations and findings. Having regard to views canvassed at the committee hearing and contribution made by distinguished senators during debate on the general principles of the bill, vis-à-vis our subsequent clause-by-clause analysis of the provisions of the bill, we hereby make the following observations and findings. 1. The stakeholders unanimously supported the passage of the bill with amendments which were reflected in the draft bill for approval by the Senate. 2. That in view of proliferations of firearms across the country, coupled with the security challenges, this bill is a welcome development and we commend its passage to this distinguished Senate. 3. That the fine in both the extant acts is not commensurate with the gravity of the offense. Hence, the upward review of the fine in the proposed bill will serve as deterrent and as well strengthen the current efforts geared towards the control of illicit and illegal firearms influx into the country and in the possession of individuals. 4. That the utilization of confiscated and seized firearms that are of military serviceable grades by the military or paramilitary organizations is in line with best practices obtainable in some other jurisdictions like the United States of America, India, Australia, and etc. 5. That the consequential amendment introduced by the committee, which seeks to include other law enforcement agencies in Section 38 of the Principal Act, is a welcome development because it is not only officers of the armed forces of the Federation and the Nigerian Police who are authorized to carry firearms and ammunition in the discharge of their statutory functions. In thanking the President and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity, we hereby recommend that the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters, to which the bill was referred, having considered same, do hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the Firearms Act Amendment Bill 2021 as amended. I so move, Mr. President.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate. Committee of the Whole.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I move a motion for the Senate to resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this is not a controversial bill, and we have only 9 clauses, so I will take 2 clauses at a time. Those in favor of clauses 1 and 2 stand part of the bill, say aye. Amendment, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Central District. Mr. President, laudable as the amendment to Section 2 is, by way of the increase in the fines. I'm still of the view, Mr. President, that even the 2 million naira is inadequate, considering the magnitude of the act of this trafficking. It says 1 million. It's 2 million that's here. I'm saying 2 million. And I'm of the view that the 2 million, Mr. President, is inadequate. If we must deter this this transgression. So I'm going to suggest that anybody who is involved in this kind of business should be taken out of business altogether. Instead of the 2 million fine, I'm going to propose 10 million naira instead of the 2 million. 10 million. Because we don't even want them to remain in the business of bringing in these illegal arms after they have been caught, Mr. President. So from 2 million, we should go to 10 million, Mr. President. Yes, sir.
Can you look at what is on page 2? Read clause 2 up to page 2. Is it correct, the way it is couched?
Okay, if I may read, 71C, 5 of the principal acts amended 1 million naira or imprisonment for a term of 2 years or both. I am saying, Mr. President, that yes, Mr. President, I'm saying that even at that, Mr. President. Yeah, I know, I want us to address that. Yes. We have 2 million as suggested by the committee. Yes. Then you suggest how much you want it to be. Yes. How much? I want to be 10 million naira, Mr. President. 10 million while leaving the terms of imprisonment as is. Or we move that.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I'm Matthew Rogile, Edo South. Mr. President, I want to just do an amendment for a second. That 5 million naira will just be ideal.
Mr. President and Senator Chukot Azde, I want to second the suggestion that we get to 10 million naira to act as a 10 million. To act as a deterrent. As a second.
Distinguished Senator Matthew Irogile, I will put the question now, and if you want your amendment, you can bring it after the question is put. Do you understand? So I will put the question now on this amendment first. Those in favor of clauses 1 and 2, that they stand part of the bill, say aye. Those as amended in clause 2, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You still want to amend?
Mr. President, I just believe that the little amendment over this, this fine, was what I was thinking of. But I think 10 years really is the penalty is too grievous in the circumstance. I have wanted amendment to, to 5 years and 2 years imprisonment or 3 years imprisonment. 5 million and then 3 years imprisonment. Yes.
Senator Francis.
My name is Senator Francis Salimikena, representing the good people of Edo North. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by Senator Orokide that this won't be reduced to 5 million. It is not necessarily the amount of this thing that matters, but the ability to pay the fine. 5 million is okay.
Well, distinguished colleagues, let me explain this before I put the question. The committee proposed 2 million naira fine, or 2 years or both. The DSP came up with an amendment of maintaining the 2 years, but the 2 million was upped to 10 million. And that's what we passed. But there is an amendment motion that the 2 million, the 2 million should be 5 million rather than 10. So I'll put the question on whether it should be 10 or 5. Sorry? Did he say that? $5 million and 3 years. Okay. So the present provision is 10 million and 2 years. And what the amendment is seeking is 5 million and 3 years. So those in favor of clause 2 as amended, and the amendment is 5 million 3 years. Those in favor of clause 2 as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So what we have passed is 5 million 3 years. Those in favor of clause 3, 4, and 5, that they stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6, those in favor of clause 6 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 7 on page 7. Those in favor of clause 7 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 8 on page 8. Those in favor of clause 8 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And clause 9, citation. Those in favor of clause 9 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation, the short title stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to a motion for the chair to report progress.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the Firearms Act, Cap F2811 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. Long title as recommended, Clause 1 as recommended, Clause 2 as amended, Clauses 3 to 8 as recommended. Short title as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to a motion that this bill be read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to alter the Firearms Act Cap F28 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to, amongst other provisions, increase the imposition of fines for offenses, provide for the destruction of firearms illegally imported into the country or in possession of individuals without valid license, in a bid to build public confidence in the overall efforts targeted at preventing and curtailing the circulation of illegal arms in the country, and for related matters 2021 SB 549, third reading.
A bill for an act to alter the Firearms Act Cap F28 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to, amongst other provisions, increase the imposition of fines for offenses, provide for the destruction of firearms illegally imported into the country or in possession of individuals without valid license, in a bid to build public confidence in the overall efforts targeted at preventing and curtailing the circulation of illegal firearms in the country, and for related matters 2021 third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I'm sure this will go a long way in supporting the fight against the so much insecurity we have in the country. And we believe that this is one worthy bill of a presidential assent. Congratulations to the sponsor of the bill, distinguished Senator Obasani, Kaduna Central. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Araromi Seaport Port Ondo State Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 24th March 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Tofu Omo Nicholas Olubukola to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Nicholas Tofu Omo.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. I'm leading the debate on a bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Ports Authority Act, Cap N126, LFN 2004, to provide for establishment of the Araromi Seafront Port in Ilaje Local Government, Ondo State, till 2021, in bracket SB 684. I'm Senator Nicholas Tufuma, representing Ondo South. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm very optimistic and delighted to lead the debate on this economic-oriented bill, which seeks to amend NPA Act to provide for the establishment of a seaport in Araromi Seafront in Ilaje Local Government of Ondo State. You will recall that this bill was first read on the 24th of March 2021. Seaports have changed many countries all over the world, and many countries have used seaports to improve their importation and exportation business, and also develop their marine transportation. It will be interesting to know that there are 96 seaports in South Africa with a population of 60 million, meaning that 625,000 South Africans will have access to a seaport if distributed evenly. There are over 200 seaports in the United Kingdom with a population of 70 million, meaning that 350,000 Britons will have access to a seaport if evenly distributed. Also, there are 22 seaports in Morocco with a population of 37 million, meaning that 1.6 Moroccans will have access to seaport if distributed evenly. There are 15 seaports in Egypt with a population of 100 million. There are 360 commercial seaports in the United States of America with a population of 330 million. And there are 14 seaports in Italy with a population of 61 million. Libya has 15 seaports with a population of 7 million. There are 6 seaports in Ghana with a population of 32 million, meaning that one seaport in Ghana serves 5.3 million Ghanaians. While in Nigeria, with only 6 major seaports, indicating that a seaport in Nigeria serves 33.3 million Nigerians. That is not only sad, but unfortunate. And it is one of the key to our slow economic development. Our stand in the Ninth Senate is to move Nigeria forward economically and reposition Nigeria. In the field of global economy, Nigeria is overdue for a minimum of 20 major seaports, and we are still struggling with 6 seaports, which are as follows: Lagos Port Complex, Tin Can Island in Lagos, Calabar Port, Delta Port, Rivers Port in Port Harcourt, and Onne Port. The Lagos Complex and the Tin Can Island Port in Lagos are congested and overworked, serving Lagos State, Ogun State, Osun State, Ondo State, Kwara State, Kogi State, Ekiti State, and many other Nigerian states and other neighboring countries, which has built daily traffic congestion and had a significant importation and exportation delays of goods with additional cost to traders. The Araromi Seaport Port is strategically located on the Atlantic Ocean sea line, and it has a deep sea, what will accommodate large vessels. The port will play a very big role in the congesting Lagos Seaport and serve 5 states, which include Ekiti State, Osun State, Kogi State, Edo State, and Ondo State, with other surrounding states. The seaport will give an end to illegal importation and exportation on our land borders, and all imported goods will be channeled through Lagos ports, and more revenue will be generated. The port will create employment for thousands of people and make clearing goods faster. Our coastal line in that region will develop and improve trade, commerce, and industry. Araromi Seafront tourism will improve because it has white sand, like Britain in the United Kingdom. Araromi Seafront Port will improve agricultural products like cocoa, cassava, plantain, oil palm, and rubber. This will be easy to export and earn foreign exchange and improve our economy. Federal government is investing on railways through foreign loan. And in this regard, World Bank support will also help in establishing this seaport. And if properly managed, the seaport will fund itself and business opportunities will enhance to surrounding states. This will be a good innovation, and the funding will not affect our economy. The Ninth Senate is well committed to developing Nigeria, economy. And if we can embrace establishment of more seaports in Nigeria, our genuineness to economic development will be established. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, seaports have helped many countries to develop, and if we establish more seaports, our economy will improve. Importation and exportation will grow. Our coastal areas have been neglected. It will receive attention, income generation will improve, many government institutions will be extended to this new seaport. In conclusion, I want all my colleagues to support this bill, and let us drive establishment of more seaports in Nigeria so that life will change and more jobs will be made available, and exploration of commercial goods would improve our revenue. In compliance with Order 73, Subsection 3, on the Senate Standing Order 2015, as amended, a compendium of the financial implication on the bill is attached here. Mr. Senate President, sir, there are seven states on the seashore, and only 5 have seaports. Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Ondo State, we don't have seaports. If we can sort out these seaports before the end of this administration, it will be success. And I pray that my colleagues will support me. Thank you.
Very distinguished Senator Francis Adenigba, Father Hunsi, Ocean East.
I also support this important bill of establishing a seaport in Ondo State, particularly Araromi, where we have this deep sea already. And I will urge my colleagues to see reasons with us on how to improve the economy. Number one, Araromi has a deep sea level that does not need dredging. So the federal government needs to just build the platform and the barges where the ship will anchor, very close to Atlantic Ocean. And 2, Lagos is already decongested, congested with the associated transportation problems provided by the few ports there. The only 2 ports in Lagos, Apapa and Tinka. If Araromi is joined very close to Lekki, we have enough space, and the congestion of Lagos will now be diverted to Ondo State, and Lagos will be free of trailer problem. Then it's very close to the north, particularly Kogi, and we have major importers in the north, particularly Kano, Kaduna, Maiduguri, and Sokoto, who normally patronize Lagos port because the alternatives are not there because of bad roads to Calabar port. Port Harcourt is congested already, despite the expansion they have there. So if Ondo is given the opportunity now, during our tenure here, automatically the economy will have enough space to breathe. Then we will curb excessive smuggling activities at the border. Because Nigerians, particularly from the north, because of the congestion here and the high cost of clearing, they patronize the Republic of Benin, Togo, and Ghana at a very low cost. If Ondo is added very close to Kogi, automatically it will be easier for the northern importers to move their goods without necessary distress from Lagos. Then the smuggling activities will come down. Then the economy will grow. by providing employment opportunities for all the indigenous towards that side. If the employment opportunities are provided, then you will have that security will be alive.
Distinguished Miranda, please.
And if all this, including exportation of our Greek and mineral resources, are given facelift from Mondo through the IC to other countries, our foreign reserve will be better. Therefore, I urge my colleagues to approve this bill so as to ease the economic problem we have. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Ayo Akin-Elure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akin-Elure, representing Ondo Central. I rise to strongly support this passage of this bill, Mr. President. And I also want to commend the sponsor of the bill, my colleague, Senator Nicola Tufoma. It is a high time, Mr. President, that a seaport be established in Ondo State. Because of the advantages already enumerated by the sponsor of the bill and by Senator Fadausin, without repeating what they have said, it is important at this time when the IGR of many states of the are dwindling, in fact the federal government IGR is dwindling. And it is high time we look inward to ensure that we shouldn't be penny wise and pounds foolish any longer, because we are endowed with a lot of resources. Deep sea port in Ondo State, we enhance IGR of the federal government to a significant extent. And with this few words, Mr. President, I want to strongly support the passage of this bill so that Nigerians' unemployment opportunities will be open. Thousands of youths will be employed. And again, commending Mr. President of the nation on the giant stride to ensure that railway lines are spread all over the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. With the establishment of seaport in Ondo State, railway lines will be spread to all the adjoining, all the surrounding states, like Kogi, like Ilori, all of them, or Kwara. This will enhance, Mr. President, the revenue generation capacity of the federal government. I so.
Senator Francis Alimekena, Edo North.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Francis Alimekena, representing the good people of Edo North. Mr. President, I rise to support this bill, which is economic driven. My contention is that this bill should also include Nigeria, according to its own statistical data, which is very correct. Gelegele Port is even going now because the government of Edo State is trying to partner. So if we add the Gelegele Port, which is a natural port right now, the NPA will not spend much money on it because if we serve all the states of Delta, Anambra, and so on. So I rise to support that Gelegele Port in Edo State should be included in this. Yes, in this bill.
Okay, distinguished. I think free advice has been offered that you should bring your bill. This one that you want to. Okay. No, this is not a motion, so you cannot just say you add. You can't add like that. You should pay for consultation. Senator Bikule Amosu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosu, I represent Ogun Central. First, let me commend the Senator Tufomo for this bill. Mr. President, let me say that it has been proven worldwide that there can be no development when the infrastructures are not in place. And if you look at it, Mr. President, the only, what I call the most potent avenue to move goods is through the sea. Of course, there's limitation on what can be moved by air and limitation on what can be moved by road. But by sea, you can move from one continent, move goods to another. And Mr. President, if you look, yes, I've read all the data that he gave, all the various enumeration of all the ports in various countries, smaller countries that are not even as big as Nigeria, having ports that are even bigger than what we have, which is our premier port, the Apapa and Tinkan ports put together. Mr. President, I mean, it's a no-brainer that if we are to get it right, we must ensure that every places, all the states where we have this God-given opportunity, God-given endowment to us, we should ensure that we have ports like this there. And that is why I want to commend Senator Tofomo. But I'm sure when this gets to the public hearing, if and when this piece is passed, I will come once I know the date so that I can say one or two things there. Where this is going to be located, Araromi, as we speak today, MPA, the same MPA, they already have, since 2006, they already have what we call the Olokola Deep Sea Port, which even the federal government have even spent some money, which is right in where this Araromi is. Indeed, the Olokola is between Ondo and Ogun State. They just take some portion of Ogun State and some portion of Ondo State. But the problem is this. They said the money needed will be such that what the government can do is just to put down seed money. Because this is what I went around trying to do within when I was opportune to serve people in Ogun State for 8 years. We run around to see what can be done. And the port that he's talking about is not just another port. It is a port that can berth mother vessel. As we speak in Nigeria today, there is no port that can berth mother vessel. Vessels that are deeper than maybe 50 meters, they cannot berth. So the only place where this can happen is where this port is. And Mr. President, you know, needless for me to stress this and again, look at our roads. Every day, that Apapa and Tinkan, all the roads is spoiled because moving very heavy goods, very heavy equipment through our road. It is never done anywhere in the world. It is here in Nigeria that we are doing this. And that's why we have to commend this administration for making sure that, I think in the first, since 35 years ago, this is the first time that rail now gets to our port. I was part of those that went for the commissioning of this Lagos-Ibadan. And when I saw it, it was with some kind of feelings, because my dad worked with Nigeria Railways for, I think, 37 years, not even 35. Then, so with what has happened now, gradually now, Nigeria is now adhering to world best practice. Mr. President, even in Ondo State, they can even have more than one port. In Ogun State, you can have more than one port. In Port Harcourt, in River State, you can have more than one port. So I want to even advise that all of us should bring bills like this. All of us should bring bills for the establishment of ports in all our states. And if and when that is done, aside from doing what we felt everybody knows that will happen, that is the movement of our goods, it will create employment for our people. Look at our youth. They don't have anything doing. Once ports like this are established, sanity will be on our road. All these accidents every day will cease. And once the port is there, please, we should ensure that there's no port that was built in Nigeria without having rail access, because it will be useless. Once you do a port and there's no access to rail to move it, what maybe 100 trailers, 200 trailers will carry by way of container, a train will just carry it at once. So, Mr. President, I want to commend Senator Tofomo for this bill. And when the bill is being had for this, considered at the public hearing, I will want to go there and make some comments just to amplify what I've said here. So, Mr. President, I want to enjoin my other colleagues to support this bill. That is the way to go. That's the way Nigeria can develop. That is the way our economy can develop. So that we will now stop maybe coming to the federal government every now and again for the stipend that they give. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Ahmed Malero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by first and foremost commending the sponsor of this bill, Senator Nicola Tofowom. Mr. President, Lagos Port since 1975, when Tinkan Island Port was built, there has not been any effort to expand the facilities in Lagos. And that's why we have serious congestion, particularly movement of containers from the seaport to the hinterland. And this creates very serious problem in doing business. I could recall the Vice President had to go to Lagos to see what can be done to ease the movement of traffic coming out of Lagos seaports. This suggests that Lagos ports are terribly congested and doing business is very, very difficult. Mr. President, this caused even the freight to Lagos seaports to rise by more than 300%. A container from China now costs about $8,000 to be brought to Lagos, to Apapa Port. Huh? Okay, my friend is confirming that it has gone up to about 13,000 naira, from 4,000 naira to 13,000 naira. This is outrageous, distinguished colleagues. And this happens simply because Lagos Port is congested. Ships don't want to come to Lagos and berth. And if they berth, the importers have to pay a lot of demurrage. So expanding our ports, building more seaports is the only solution. If we are talking of ease of doing business, what is more than building ports that are user-friendly? Our neighboring countries, like Cotonou, Togo, their ports are user-friendly. You can hardly spend 2 to 3 days without clearing your container. Unlike our seaports, particularly in Lagos, you can spend almost 2 months trying to clear your container. And this is happening simply because of serious congestion we have. So, Mr. President, I equally support the idea of having deep sea ports where barges can bring in containers to the normal port. And I equally support the idea that ports should be linked with railway line. And this railway line can take containers from the seaport to inland container terminals like Ibadan, Kaduna, Jos, Funtua, and even Maiduguri. This will certainly decongest our seaports. So I support the idea of building more seaports, particularly this particular one that is contained in this bill. And I urge my colleagues to...
Say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Nigerian Ports Authority Act Cap N 126 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to provide for the establishment of Araromi Seaport on those two and for related matters 2021 SB 684 second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Nigeria Port Authority Act Cap N 126 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to provide for the establishment of Araromi Seafront Port, Ondo State, and for related matters 2021 second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Senate Committee on Marine Transport to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the National Burns and Rehabilitation Center Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 14th April 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Tolulope Akinremi Odebi to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
No, sir. Distinguished Senator Tolu Odebi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, thank you for giving me the opportunity to lead the debate for the second reading of a bill for an act to establish the National Bonds and Rehabilitation Center in Ilaro, Ogun State, SB 676. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, today I rise on behalf of millions of Nigerians who have suffered permanent and preventable disability from injuries suffered from acute burns and fire incidences to lead the debate on the establishment of a National Bonds and Rehabilitation Center in Ilaro, Ogun State. Distinguished colleagues, I stand here to cast my mind sadly to one particular regretful event that happened on our dear nation on the 10th of December 25, the Sosoliso plane crash. May God rest the souls of the departed. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it's on record that 7 people survived the fatal crash and were taken to the hospital, but only 2 survived. The main reason for their death was that there was no facility to cater for the kind of severe burns they sustained. Unfortunately, we lost the 5 promising souls. It is, however, quite saddening that even after the nation has experienced pockets of other tragic fire incidences in marketplaces, public buildings, and even episodes of chemical burns, the country still does not have a major facility solely dedicated to the cater of these kinds of emergencies, as it is globally practiced in other countries of the world. According to the World Health Organization, burns account for a large amount of prolonged hospitalization, disfigurement, and disability cases. The majority of these occur in low and middle-income countries. These affect society in general, from lots of emotional trauma and cost involved in hospital care, having a deep socio-economic impact on society. In the Annals of Burns and Fire Disasters, a journal of the Euro-Mediterranean Council of Burns and Fire Disasters, MBC, burn injuries account for 4.8% of trauma deaths in Nigeria and 6.7% of surgically related deaths. In children, burns and scars are the 4th commonest cause of trauma in Nigeria. In recent years, burn injuries occurring in vehicles in road traffic accidents resulting in mass burn casualties have become increasingly common, accounting for over 50% of injuries at a certain period in southwest Nigeria. Such accidents are usually due to the transportation of gasoline in vehicles whose drivers use unsafe containers, particularly during petrol or gasoline shortages. Burn disasters can also happen from several pipeline explosions due to activities of vandals over the past few years, leading to loss of lives. Some incidences of fuel tanker explosions also contributed significantly to the increase in burn injuries outside the domestic setting across the country. However, beyond giving the procedural first aid to victims of burns, the nation needs a specialized specialist center that will set guidelines and also offer prevention services, management, and treatment of victims for burn injuries. It will serve as a reference point for cases relating to the management of burns. It will also serve as an institution where the best form of practice related to plastic and reconstructive surgery and also responsible for all forms of correction of deformities, restoration function, and normal appearance of body parts. The country needs to follow global best practices in catering for these health emergencies and can be managed through the establishment of the center, and this bill seeks to provide the panacea. The Burn Center. The center is proposed to be a hospital specialized in the treatment of all degrees of burns, cosmetic, plastic, skin grafting, skin culturing procedures, with facilities for the training of personnel in the treatment of burns at all levels. The center, in conjunction with other relevant bodies and international bodies, will create burn control measures, burn care surveillance, and better data collection and research. It will also be programmed to provide rehabilitative physiotherapy services for burn victims. The center is also expected to create facilities for research into all aspects of burns, including visual, clinical, and experimental research. It will promote the development of new diagnostic and therapeutic burns treatment instruments and appliances better suited for the practice of burns treatment in Nigeria. The center will further complement the works of hospitals in the country and contribute hugely to the training of young medical practitioners and other personnel involved in rehabilitation in the treatment of all forms of burn injuries and rehabilitation of victims. Conclusion. Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, the recent fire incident in Owode, Ogun State, where scores of Nigerians perished due to the varying degrees of burns sustained, and last week, gas explosion in Ikeja, Lagos, which deepened the distressing situation of burns-related accidents and victims in Nigeria, have reinforced the need for us to put an end to the reactionary measures where we have held emergencies in this country. There is thus the need to deliberately switch to being proactive by making preparations for these emergencies and proffering solutions before they happen. The call for us to have a specialized burns and rehabilitation center in the country is not only important, but it's an overriding concern in our health sector. There is a need for all of us seated here to rise to our representative and legislative calling by supporting this bill in the interest of the citizens of this country who have vested in us their mandate. Thank you, Mr. President. Behind, I have, in compliance with Order 773 of the Standing Rules of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with respect to the procedure for bills, I've listed a compendium attached herewith. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Bikula.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, again, let me commend the efforts of Senator Tolu Odebiyi for the introduction of this bill for the establishment of the National Burns and Rehabilitation Center in Araromi State. Mr. President, truly, we can't have enough of life-saving institutions like this. You will recall that not too long ago, I brought to this distinguished Senate the National Emergency Toll-Free numbers. What is the essence of bringing that up? It is to ensure that at critical moments, at critical times, lives that otherwise could have been lost will be saved. And this is one of those measures. This is one of those institutions that once is in place, life will be saved. Now and again, of course, he has chronicled some of the moments when the need for this very important specialized burns and rehabilitation center, when their need will be needed. You recall the air mishap that we have, several of them we usually have. Pipeline explosion, road accidents, even you will just see fire happening in maybe homes, in buildings, in schools, wherever it can happen. That is the essence of life and living. And when it do happen, what are the measures that we have put in place to ensure that we immediately arrest those incidences when they do happen? Mr. President, citing this specialized burns and rehabilitation center, not just any place where they will go. This is specialized, it is going to be created specially to take care of incidences of burns, and when such happen, how they will be treated, and eventually they will be rehabilitated and they will come back to life, to normalcy. So, Mr. President, I want to commend once again the effort of distinguished Senator Tolu Odebiyi for thinking out of the box and bringing this thing in. In some other climes, indeed, I don't know of any state in the United States of America that doesn't have maybe institutions like this, hospitals like this. So you will not see maybe something is happening, maybe in New York. They don't need to run around to probably run to Houston. There's another one there. And that is what we should do in Nigeria. Yes, we have hospitals, but we do not have enough of this specialized hospital that when we have specific cases that should be treated, we do not have. We will just treat it just as maybe an arm, a department in a big hospital. With this, such incidences where a lot of people will just lose their life, that will be curtailed, that will be curbed. So I want to enjoin my colleagues that we should all support this bill. It is a life-saving bill. And just like what I said, we truly cannot have enough of institutions like this. So, Mr. President, with these few words, I support this bill wholeheartedly, and I pray that all of our colleagues will support it so that it can be seconded to the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Burns and Rehabilitation Center, Ilaro, Ogun State, to provide intensive treatment and rehabilitative needs of burns victims and to train capable hands in the treatment of burns-related injuries and for other related matters, 2021, SB 676, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Burns and Rehabilitation Center, Ilaro, Ogun State, to provide intensive treatment and rehabilitative needs of burns victims and to train capable hands in the treatment of burns-related injuries and for other related matters, 2021, second reading, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the second reading of the Nigerian Merchant Navy, Coast Guard and Security Corps Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 9th December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Kabiru Gaya to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Kabiru Gaya.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Kabiru Gaya, representing the people of Kano South from Kano State. Mr. President, I would like to move that the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Nigerian Merchant Navy Coast Guard Security and Safety Corps with the responsibility for the security and safety of coastline waters and Nigerian Merchant Navy and other matters connected there with SB 591. I so move.
You may proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With your permission, I would like to go through the lead debate. Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am delighted to lead the debate on this bill for the establishment of Nigerian Merchant Navy, Coast Guard, and Security Corps for the responsibility of providing security and safety of coastline waters and Nigerian Merchant Navy. Mr. President, you recall that this bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 9th December 2020. The function of the Corps shall include to: 1. Monitor and protect the Nigerian territorial waters for pollution during shipbuildings in docks and in slipways and during construction of any marine facilities. 2. To protect Nigerian territorial waters from dumping, pollution by toxic waste disposal, chemicals, or any other element that constitute risk to human and marine lives. To monitor, protect, and maintain the clearing in marine waters, hyacinths, grasses, weeds, and water debris, wrecks from Nigerian coastline, creeks, and inland waterways, expansion for free passage of transporting goods and services. Also to provide and response to any emergency quick rescue facilities, first aid medical services for marine and merchant ships, seamen operating in Nigerian waters, personnel and in the riverine inland, coastlines and creeks, waterways, and in maritime environment. Mr. President, they are also to monitor and control all government and commercial transport boats or any marine facility operating in the maritime offshore and onshore environment, and check the safety of lives and fire prevention, accident installation equipment used on board such boats for safety protection. Also to monitor all petroleum products loading and offloading activities by the marketers and distributors for proper efficient distribution to depot and deposits to various stations and locations. Also to enforce and maintain law and order in the inland coastline and creeks to avoid dumping of waste products in maritime activities and maritime environment in Nigeria. Monitor all illegal fishing activities and control of fishing trawlers operating in Nigerian territory waters to ensure the use of proper approved recommended fishing nets. Also to prevent crime or criminal activities, guide and protect Nigerian territorial coastline waterways and creeks entrance to checkmate against any illegal activities and curb illegal importation of sophisticated weapons into Nigeria through the sea to avoid the further proliferation of arms that is already becoming very rampant. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in line with the government intention to create jobs for this teeming youth population, the bill is passed, if passed into law, is expected to serve as a means of employment for at least not less than 1 million youth for unemployed Nigerian youth. The enactment of the bill will help reduce the burden placed on Nigerian Navy, as well as shifting the regulatory paradigm in order to have a definite approach to the issues of maritime insecurity surrounding the entire Gulf of Guinea. The bill is necessary for the survival and sustainable of Nigerian economy also. You may also wish to know, Mr. President, this cost, when established, is capable of generating up to almost $1 billion in federal revenue account through seafarers tax. Finally, in accordance with Order 73.3 of this standing rules, the estimated capital and recurrent expenditure for the first 12 months is hereby attached. Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. The bill is attached on page 3, and the estimate is attached on page 3 of the report. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I need the support of my distinguished colleagues. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, distinguished Senator Biodun Olujimi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Biodun Olujimi, Ekiti South. Mr. President, I rise to support the bill on the Nigerian Merchant Navy, Coast Guard, and Security Corps. Mr. President, you will note that in all countries with coastal areas, there are coast guards and merchant navy. And these guards complement the Navy to provide security for the coast and all the ships and transportation that is used on coastal areas. They are, Mr. President, like the road safety corps on ground in the cities. Whether we like it or not, the protection of our coastal areas is the protection of Nigeria, because that is the first port of call for goods, for products, for even unwanted goods that come into the country. At a time, toxic wastes were deposited along our coastline, and the only reason they could have been done was because we did not have coast guards and security corps. With the establishment of this, Mr. President, we will also be able to manage our coasts very well and to ensure that unwanted materials are not deposited and that ships and all forms of transportation are monitored and properly placed I want to congratulate the promoter of this bill, and I want to urge my colleagues to please support it, because this will not only bring succor to everyone using our waters, it will also bring succor to the people, to everybody in Nigeria, and it will provide employment for our teeming youths and even the older ones, because this is the only way to go to improve our economy. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so support.
Is anybody against the bill? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Flag of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Merchant Navy Coast Guard Security and Safety Corps with the responsibility for the security and safety of coastline waters and Nigerian Merchant Navy and other matters connected therewith, 2021 SB 591, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish for the establishment of the Nigerian Merchant Navy, Coast Guard Security and Safety Corps with the responsibility for the security and safety of coastline waters and Nigerian Merchant Navy and other matters connected there with 2021 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the committees on Navy and Marine Transport with Navy as the lead committee. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Industrial Tourism Fund Act number 19, 2011 Amendment Bill 2020. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 16th December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Said Ahmed Al-Khali to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Said Al-Khali.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Said Al-Khali. I represent Gombe North. I rise to move for the lead debate on a bill for an act to amend the Industrial Training Fund Act and for related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I thank you for the privilege to lead the debate on a bill for an act to amend the Industrial Training Fund Amendment Act 2011, which was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 16 December 2020. Background of the bill. The Industrial Training Fund was established by a Decree 47 of 1971, now an act as amended in 2011. It is to develop the nation's human resource capacity by continuous training and retraining of its workforce for optimum output and performance. To achieve this, the ITA provides key services such as research, development of training programs, administration of student industrial work experience scheme (SIWES), collection of training contribution as mandated by law for liable organization, and payment of reimbursement. Such organizations have provided evidence for such training in order to encourage employers to consistently train their employees for greater productivity. As such, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the original intention and mandate of the ITF as contained in the Extant Act is to provide, promote, and encourage the acquisition of skills in industries and commerce with a view to generating a pool of indigenous trained manpower.
Distinguished colleagues, please try to wear your masks.
The extant law of the ITF, while laudable and a major improvement of the all-established decree, now Act of the National Assembly, has still not translated to significantly reducing the huge unemployment and underemployment gaps in the country as intended. According to the most recent labor force survey of the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, MBS, the nation overall underemployment rate 33.3%, underemployment rate at almost 22.8%, while youth unemployment and underemployment rate stand at alarming 42.5%. Regrettably also, the various intervention programs and policies of successive government to enhance the capacity of the nation workforce through various youth empowerment schemes, skill acquisition, and job creation policies have not particularly succeeded in bringing the problem of unemployment and employability, especially among youth, under control. The inadequacies of the extant law have resulted, among other things: 1. Not adherence to the requirement of proof up-to-date contribution to the fund for persons and corporate organizations bidding or soliciting contract from government and private organizations. Light and non-deterrent punishment for persons who forge fund certificate of compliance and other financial documents, leading to huge loss of revenue for ITF and the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. Weak and ambiguous interpretation of keywords in the extant act, but having huge implication on the efficiency of the fund and unending court litigations. Objectives of the bill. In order to address the foregoing inadequacies of the extant act, the bill seeks to: 1. Make the fulfillment of ITF obligation a statutory requirement and prerequisite on the part of persons and corporate entities for the consideration for the award of contract by government and private establishments. Ensure that persons who knowingly forge or falsify official documents belonging to the fund receive commensurate punishment for their unscrupulous actions and deterrence, and provide explicit, lucid, and unambiguous interpretation and explanation of terms used in the extant act to ensure proper understanding and aid effective implementation. Strengthen the industrial training fund to administer, supervise, and enforce the industrial training reforms of government, which is very much needed in our country today. Expand the powers of the council to diversify sources of income of the fund to facilitate making investment in any profitable venture to guarantee its sustainability and realization of objectives. To provide the necessary training, skill, and vocational know-how that will create jobs and bring in our teeming youth population out of poverty and joblessness. Arrest the upsurge in crime and criminality across the country attributed to the twin evil of widespread unemployment and poverty. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is imperative to note that the amendments proposed are not incompatible with related legal or policy framework that regulates industrial training fund or any empowerment program in Nigeria. It is this content the bill seeks to ensure that the industrial training fund is repositioned, well-funded, and equipped to establish more industrial and model skill training centers in addition to the one currently being run in Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Jos, and thus primed to fulfill its core mandate of providing the necessary training, skill acquisition, and vocational know-how, especially for today's knowledge-based economy and the Nigeria of our dream. In addition, Mr. President and my respected colleagues, the passage of this bill into law is one veritable and cost-effective way of drastically reducing the population of our youth in the unemployment bracket, arrest the rising national insecurity by offering our teeming youth and women the opportunity to unleash their potentials and redirect their energies positively, which will undoubtedly translate to economic growth and all-round development of our country. Conclusion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there is no consequential financial implication on the government with respect to this bill, because the industrial training fund saddled with the implementation is already in existence. I urge you, therefore, my respected colleagues, to support this bill for second reading and expeditious passage into law. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Bima Mohammed Enagi, Niger South.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate. Thank you, my highly respected, distinguished colleagues.
My name is Senator Bima Muhammad Enagi. I represent the people of Niger South. I rise to commend my brother for this amendment bill, Senator Saidu Al-Kali, and to support that the bill be read the second time. The bill is apt and timely. Over the years, ITF had been involved in human capacity development in this country, providing skilled manpower for both public and private organizations. Their training and retraining programs cover various sectors of the economy: engineering, construction, agriculture, security, ICT, health. So many sectors are covered by the bill. And it involves the training and retraining of workers, of students, of graduates, of women, of youth, of physically challenged. However, due to paucity of funds available to ITF, there has been limitation on them undertaking their mandate. This bill is therefore to make more funds available to ITF so that more organizations, both private and public, will be able to participate, will be willing to participate in their programs because of the attraction that part and up to 50% of their expenses for training of some of their staff will be refunded to them. Therefore, this bill will encourage organizations to send their workers for improvement in their skills. By so doing, this will lead to improvement in the industries, in the organizations, in their services. This will lead to increased income for those organizations. That will also improve the entrepreneurship in this country, because some of the individuals will be able to establish their own companies and employ others. There are a lot of benefits that this amendment bill will bring to the economy and to this country. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support the reading of this bill the second time. I so support. Thank you.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Industrial Training Fund Act number 19, 2011, and for other matters connected thereto 2021, SB 608, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Industrial Training Fund Act number 19, 2011, and for other matters connected thereto 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Industry to report back within 4 weeks.
I highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the eighth order of the day is the second reading of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, Cap E1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 8 December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Comrade Abba Moro in place of Kola Ademola Balogun to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Comrade, distinguished Senator Comrade Patrick Abamoro, Benue South.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Smart Ademi. He he is in the struggle. It's because you are never there, that's why you didn't know him. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. President, for intervening on behalf of the masses. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is a lead debate on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, CAP E1-LFN 2000, Amendment Bill 2020 SB 541 by Senator Kola Balogun, who has asked me to please lead the debate on his behalf. So, Mr. President, with your kind permission and the indulgence of my colleagues, I want to lead the debate.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, may I humbly seek your leave to lead the debate on this very important bill. The bill was read for the first time in this revered chamber on 8 December 2020. The one and only intent of this bill, Mr. President, is to alter the provision of Section 21A, Roman figure 123 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Establishment Act 2004 to be precise. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the said section makes provisions concerning who can be appointed as the chairman of the commission, and the category of persons is limited to serving or retired members of any government security or law enforcement agency not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police or its equivalent. However, going down memory lane, as important as this commission is towards fighting corruption with the attendant benefits so far, all its past chairmen who were so appointed were drawn from this category. Whereas, given the very important role that the Commission is expected to play in tackling the endemic corruption complaints in Nigeria, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must be given a wider latitude to choose from among Nigerians of proven integrity once they have cognate experience. Sister Organization Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Offenses Related Commission Act allows Nigerians with impeccable integrity to be appointed as chairman. Thus, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not limited in choice of the head of the organization. The same scenario does not apply to the EFCC. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there are clamors from members of the public to amend this law, limiting who can be appointed as the chairman of the commission over a long time, due to the experience of the country with respect to the leadership of the Commission. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the country is blessed with a lot of people with unblemished character and with cognate experience in fighting crimes who can lead the Commission to achieve the intent of establishing the Commission. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I at this juncture humbly request that you support this bill and pass it accordingly to allow a person of unblemished character having a cognate experience in the field of fighting crime to be appointed as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Mr. President, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, comrade. Distinguished Senator San Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I'm Mohammed Sani Musa. I rise to support this bill. The essence of supporting this bill is to also recall that I have made the same call for the same amendment of that bill. So if it goes to the committee concerned, I think they will look at the two bills and then see how they can consolidate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Is anybody against the bill? You are against the bill? Distinguished Senator Mohammed Adamalero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to oppose the passage of this bill, or the second reading of this bill, for the reason that already Mr. President set up a committee to advise him on the way forward in selecting persons of proven integrity to head the EFCC and also ICPC. And the chairman of that committee happened to be an eminent jurist of impeccable integrity in the name of Ayo Salami. And he submitted his report to the president, and in that report, it was suggested, it was recommended that the person who should head the EFCC should be among those that served the EFCC from inception. They should be among the core staff that established the EFCC. And Mr. President acted on that recommendation. He approved it, and he appointed Bawa Abdul Rashid to head the EFCC. And so far, so good. We have not seen anything wrong in the way he is handling the affairs of EFCC. And if you bring somebody from outside, he may not have the knowledge of what's happening in EFCC. He had other sister organizations like DSS or civil defense. So, Mr. President, I oppose the second reading of this bill for the simple fact that Mr. President had already acted on the advice given to him by the chairman that was set up to reorganize and restructure the EFCC in the name of retired Justice Ayo Salami. Mr. President, it will be counterproductive to go against this recommendation, because what we have seen in the past is that fighting corruption was done on a fire brigade approach. But so far, the present leadership of EFCC is fighting corruption based on the provisions of the Constitution and also the Act passed by the National Assembly. Unlike what was happening before, where on mere suspicion you will be arrested, detained, and for over 2-3 months without, taking you to court, or you will be subjected to media trial. You are a criminal simply because of allegation made against you. But presently, we don't see that. It's not happening. So I am opposed to the idea of bringing an outsider to help the EFCC. It should be among the staff of the EFCC that have been trained. And we have persons of higher integrity that can lead, that can head the organization. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I wish to suggest that this bill should not go for second reading. Thank you.
DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's not my style, frankly, to oppose any bill during the second reading. But I'm not oblivious of the fact that if I don't take this opportunity, I may never have it again. As when we come here for the clause by clause, you will rule that the opportunity is already gone. But I'd like to make an exception this time, for the first time, Mr. President, in this night Senate. I want to align myself 100% with the position advanced by Senator Lero. Mr. President, this is a professional body, and people within the agency, when hired as cadets, as a right, they have a right to expectation. Expectation to someday rise to the position of the headship of that very agency. Mr. President, just like the police force, I don't think the case has been made by anyone that you should bring somebody from the army or you should bring somebody from the Air Force or whatever to come ahead become IG of police. Anybody who joins the police force today has the expectation that if he does well, he could rise to the headship to become IG of police. I don't think that of EFCC should be any different. But yes, I understand that at the very outset of the setting up of that organization, they had to go out, to source for people who could assist. But with the appointment and confirmation of Mr. Bauer, I think he's the first that rose through the ranks, to head that position. And Mr. President, the way and manner he has, the leadership he has provided so far, has not given anyone any cause to think that making that appointment is a mistake. So, Mr. President, I think we should leave the agency as it is, ownership of this organization should actually be restricted to them. So to the extent there should be any amendment at all, we should actually remove police officers, remove every other people, and just confine it only to graduates. I rise to oppose this budget have been taken, being read for a second time. Thank you for your...
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. I'll put the question again. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected...
Leader. Sorry, second reading first. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, Cap E1, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for other matters connected thereto, 2021, SB 546, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, Cap E, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and further matters connected thereto, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes to report back within 4 weeks. Well, distinguished colleagues, let me comment here. The last, he said, he was suggesting the appointment of the chairman, the leader of the EFCC, should be limited to graduates of the EFCC Academy. My understanding is not all the graduates of the EFCC Academy are working with EFCC. They could be working somewhere. In Kano, they have something like EFCC. Will it be bad if you bring someone, for example, with that kind of background, having been trained, have worked in an anti-corruption agency, not necessarily EFCC? Is it not giving a sense of fresh air, for example, with some new ideas? That was why it was very close. So I think as it is, if we limit it to graduates of the academy with requisite cognate experience, maybe that will help, rather than just picking a policeman from the police force or police headquarters and post him to EFCC. And and I agree with the position of the DSP that if we want to amend as well, we should be looking at clearing all these other agencies out. But even if someone did not go to the academy, but has worked or is working in an anti-corruption agency, I think that person would have sufficient experience to head the EFCC. But of course, you cannot get a better deal than picking someone from the EFCC itself. Just like we confirmed Abdul Rashid Bawa, a product of that system. He can be the best person you can have people who are working in other agencies to help the system grow. So thank you very much for the debate, and it was very close. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, having just received the Petroleum Act report, we want to create an opportunity for members to have time to go through that bill, for its consideration tomorrow. With that in the background, I would like to move a motion for this distinguished Senate to step down the consideration of all other items on our order paper to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down to consideration of the remaining items on the order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate. Late.
I rise to move another motion for this Senate to adjourn until tomorrow, 1st July 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I second.
Distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, let me remind us once again, tomorrow, by the grace of God, we hold a closed session to listen to the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, as well as the GMD NNPC, on some of the details and clarifications on the PIB. That closed session will start at 10 a.m. so that we have some time before we start our plenary. And tomorrow's session will be dedicated to the consideration of the Petroleum Industry Bill for the whole day. And I will urge that we avail ourselves tomorrow by 10 so that we listen to the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, and the GMD will have, NNPC will have an opportunity to ask questions on things that may not be too clear to us, and that's the essence before we embark on the consideration of the bill or of the report of our committee. Thank you very much. With those remarks, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Thursday, the 1st day of July 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Thursday, the 1st day of July 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. Thank you.